Hey everyone, and welcome back. For this deep dive, we're going to be talking about the metaverse. Not just like what it is.
Right.
We're going deeper.
Yeah.
Like how's it going to change how businesses sell things?
Okay.
And especially to you. So to help us with this, we've got this really cool article called Texto Colato.
Okay.
And it's got this framework
Uh,
that businesses can use and some real world examples of brands that are like already doing this stuff.
Interesting.
So by the end of this, you'll get not only what the metaverse is,
Yeah.
but also how it might totally change how you shop.
Yeah, this is really fascinating because we're moving beyond like the limitations of the physical world into a realm where pretty much anything is possible.
Okay, I'm already hooked. But
Right.
before we get too far ahead, let's like define what we're talking about here.
Sure.
What even is the metaverse?
Yeah.
It sounds like straight out of like a sci-fi movie or something.
Well, it's not as far off as you might think. The metaverse, put simply, is a shared virtual space where like the physical and digital worlds kind of blend together. Imagine this persistent online world. You can interact with people, objects, experiences in a way that almost feels like you're actually physically there.
So it's more than browsing a website or
Yeah.
going to a Zoom meeting.
Right.
What makes it so different?
It's the feeling of presence. The metaverse is like designed to be immersive, engaging all your senses in a way that traditional online interactions just can't.
All right. So I'm starting to get the picture now.
Yeah.
And you mentioned brands experimenting in the metaverse.
Yeah.
What's that looking like?
Well, it's still early days, but we are seeing some really interesting examples. The article actually mentions Gucci and Bugatti creating virtual showrooms in spaces like Roblox.
Okay. So instead of
Right.
just scrolling through pictures
Right.
of a new bag or whatever,
Yeah.
you can step into a virtual Gucci store
Yeah.
and see how it looks on your avatar, how the leather feels, how it moves when you walk. Wow. That's a game changer. Not only does that sound super cool from like a customer perspective, but I can also see how that kind of immersive experience could really benefit businesses.
Absolutely. It's all about deepening the connection between the customer and the brand. When you can experience a product in a way that feels real, you're more likely to be satisfied with your purchase and become a loyal customer. Think about how frustrating it is to buy clothes online only to have them arrive and they don't fit or look quite right.
Yeah.
Virtual try-ons could solve that, leading to fewer returns. Happier customers.
Okay, so it's not just a gimmick.
Yeah.
There's a real strategic advantage for businesses who get this right. And speaking of strategy, our source, Texto Colato, provides a framework for how businesses can approach the metaverse.
Yeah.
They call it the 4 pillars of metaverse development. So let's take a closer look at those.
Yeah, let's unpack them. I think they offer a really practical roadmap for businesses trying to navigate this new world.
All right, so pillar number 1 is all about management and technology.
Okay.
It sounds like it's about getting a company ready from the inside out.
Right. So this pillar really emphasizes a company culture that embraces change and innovation. They call it an agile mindset.
So
That's
like
right.
the metaverse is constantly evolving. Businesses need to be able to
Yeah.
adapt quickly. So that means being willing to experiment, learn from mistakes, and constantly iterate. So it's not just about
Right.
having the latest gadgets. It's about having a company culture that's open to new ways of doing things.
Exactly. But of course, technology is still crucial. Businesses need the right tools and infrastructure to support these new ways of working and engaging with customers.
Okay, that makes sense. And what about the second pillar? It's VR integration, right?
Yes.
That's where the headsets come in, I'm guessing?
You got it. This pillar is about seamlessly integrating virtual reality technology into the metaverse experience.
Yeah, and that includes not just the hardware like headsets,
Mm-hmm.
but also the software platforms that power these virtual worlds. Think of platforms like Facebook Horizon Workrooms,
Yeah.
where people can collaborate in virtual offices.
Yeah. Or NVIDIA Omniverse,
Yeah.
which allows designers and engineers to work together on 3D projects in real time.
So we're not just talking about gaming here.
Yeah.
This has implications
Yeah.
for all sorts of industries.
Absolutely. The lines between gaming, work, and social interaction are getting blurry.
Okay.
And this pillar also highlights the need for businesses to understand the economics of the metaverse. How are resources used? How do we predict costs? How do we market our products in these virtual spaces?
Yeah, traditional marketing strategies won't cut it in the metaverse.
Right.
Okay, things are getting really interesting here. But I'm curious, what about those of us who aren't ready? to strap on a VR headset.
Sure.
Is there still a place for us in the metaverse?
Absolutely. While VR is a big part of the metaverse, it's not the only way to access it.
Okay.
VR offers the most immersive experience, but there will also be ways to participate using your phone, your computer, or even augmented reality device.
Gotcha.
The key is accessibility. The metaverse needs to be inclusive, offering a range of options for people to participate based on their comfort level, and available technology.
That's reassuring to hear.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to pillar number 3, product modeling.
Okay.
So we built our metaverse world, got our VR set up. Now what? What's this pillar all about?
This is where things get really exciting. This pillar is all about leveraging data to create products and experiences that are perfectly tailored to individual customer needs and desires.
Okay, so explain how that works. How does data lead to better products in the metaverse?
Think about all the data that companies collect about you when you shop online or browse social media. Now imagine that data being used to create products and experiences designed specifically for you.
Okay.
Let's say you're browsing a virtual furniture store in the metaverse. The system knows your style preferences from your past purchases and social media activity. It can then suggest furniture that perfectly matches your taste, maybe even allowing you to customize the design, fabric, and colors in real time.
So it's like having a personal shopper, but powered by AI.
That's a great way to put it. And the article highlights the key role of data mining, big data analysis, business intelligence tools, and UX design in making this happen.
Wow, it's a whole new level of personalization. All right, so we've covered management and technology, VR integration, and product modeling. We're on the last pillar now, right?
Yes.
What's the final piece of the puzzle?
Final pillar is perhaps the most revolutionary: crypto assets and WEB3.
Okay, this is where the concept of ownership in the metaverse really comes into play now.
Yeah.
When you say crypto assets and WB3, those are terms that get thrown around a lot, but I'm not sure everyone fully understands them.
Sure.
Can you break it down for us?
Let's start with WEB3. It's essentially the next evolution of the internet, built on blockchain technology. Think of blockchain as a digital ledger that records all transactions in a secure and transparent way. The key difference is that it's decentralized.
Okay, meaning no single entity controls it.
Exactly. So instead of big tech companies like Google or Facebook calling the shots, the power is distributed among the users.
Well, it's like more democratic in a way.
Okay. And that's where crypto assets like NFTs come in. NFTs, or non-fungible tokens, use blockchain technology to verify ownership of digital assets, so you can own a piece of virtual land, a digital artwork, or even a unique in-game item in the metaverse, and that ownership is recorded on the blockchain, making it secure and verifiable.
So it's like owning a deed to a house, but for virtual property.
That's a good analogy. And this opens up all sorts of possibilities for how we interact with brands and participate in the metaverse economy. Imagine owning a limited edition virtual handbag from your favorite designer, or even a virtual storefront that you can rent out to other businesses.
Okay. The concept of ownership in the metaverse.
Yeah.
It's going to change everything. That's a lot to wrap my head around. But it definitely sounds like the future. So we've got these 4 pillars, each addressing a different aspect of how businesses can approach the metaverse. But I'm curious, what's the real benefit for businesses? How does all this actually translate into more sales?
That's the million-dollar question, right? Well, the article outlines 10 key advantages of the metaverse for sales, but at its core, it's about creating more engaging and personalized experiences for customers.
Okay, so let's dive into those advantages. What are some of the specific ways the metaverse can boost sales?
Well, imagine a world where customers can interact with your products in a truly immersive way, trying them on, testing them out, experiencing them as if they were physically present. That's the power of virtual showrooms. And product demonstrations in the metaverse, it's about eliminating the guesswork and building trust with customers.
That makes a lot of sense. But what about the limitations of the physical world? How does the metaverse help businesses overcome those?
That's a great point. One of the key advantages of the metaverse is that it breaks down geographical barriers. You can have customers from all over the world interacting with your brand in the same virtual space. And because the metaverse is always on, you can offer 204/7 availability, allowing customers to shop whenever and wherever they want.
That's huge. It completely changes the game in terms of reach and accessibility. But what about costs? Isn't building and maintaining these virtual worlds incredibly expensive?
It can be. But there's also potential for cost savings. Think about it. Businesses can reduce or even eliminate the need for physical storefronts, saving money on rent, utilities, and staffing. They can also streamline their supply chains and reduce waste by creating digital products instead of physical ones.
So there's a potential for both increased revenue and decreased costs.
It certainly has the potential to be.
It sounds like a win-win for businesses.
But of course, there are challenges and considerations that businesses need to be aware of as they navigate this new landscape.
And what about the customers? What are the benefits for them?
For customers, the metaverse promises more personalized experiences, greater convenience, and even new ways to earn money and build wealth.
Wow.
It's about putting the power back in the hands of the consumer.
Okay, so we've talked about the metaverse itself, the 4 pillars of implementation, and the potential benefits for both businesses and consumers. But I think there's another layer to this conversation that we need to address.
Okay.
What about the potential downsides? What are some of the risks or concerns that we need to be aware of as we venture into this uncharted territory?
That's a crucial question, and one that we can't afford to ignore. The metaverse has the potential to be incredibly transformative, but it also comes with its share of challenges.
All right. Well, let's dive into those challenges.
Yeah.
What are some of the things we need to be cautious about as the metaverse continues to evolve?
Well, one of the biggest concerns is the potential for the metaverse to exacerbate existing inequalities, so access to technology, digital literacy, and even the cost of virtual goods could create new barriers for people who are already marginalized.
That's a really important point. We can't just assume that everyone will have equal access to the metaverse.
Right.
What are some ways that we can address this issue and ensure that the metaverse is inclusive and accessible to everyone?
It's going to require a multifaceted approach
Yeah.
involving policymakers, tech companies, and community organizations working together.
Okay.
So we need to invest in digital infrastructure, make sure that devices and internet access are affordable, and provide training and education to help people develop the skills they need to thrive in the metaverse.
So it's about creating a level playing field and ensuring that everyone has the opportunity to participate in this new digital world. Think about the impact on mental health, spending more and more time in virtual environments, psychological consequences, right?
That's definitely a valid concern. We're already seeing some of the negative effects of excessive screen time and social media use on mental health. So it's crucial that we develop ethical guidelines and safeguards to protect users in the metaverse, especially children and adolescents. This might include things like limiting exposure time, promoting healthy digital habits, and providing resources for mental health support.
It seems like we're going to need a whole new set of rules and regulations. Given behavior in the metaverse, what about the potential for manipulation and exploitation, with brands having access to even more data about our preferences and behaviors? How do we protect ourselves from being exploited?
Well, transparency and user control are key. Users need to be informed about what data is being collected and how it's being used. They should also have the ability to opt out of data collection or to control how their data is shared. And we need to be wary of the potential for addictive design patterns that are designed to keep users engaged at the expense of their well-being.
So it's not just about the technology itself, but also about the ethical considerations and the societal impact of the metaverse.
Absolutely.
It seems like there's a lot to think about before we all jump in head first.
Right. The metaverse is a powerful tool. But like any tool, it can be used for good or for ill. It's up to us to shape its development and ensure that it benefits humanity as a whole.
Now, let's bring it back to the source material. For a moment, we talked about the 4 pillars of metaverse development, and you mentioned the final pillar, crypto assets and WAVE3s, perhaps the most revolutionary. Can you elaborate on why that is?
Well, the idea that users can truly own their digital assets in the metaverse is a game changer right now. We essentially rent our digital lives. We create content on social media platforms, but we don't own it. They can delete our accounts, censor our posts, and even profit from our data without our consent. But with WEB3 and blockchain technology, users can have real ownership and control over their digital identities, creations, and possessions.
That's a powerful concept. So how does this actually work in practice? Can you give us a concrete example?
Sure. Let's say you're a musician. And you create a song. in the metaverse.
Okay. You can mint that song
Uh-huh.
as an NFT.
Which gives you.
Verifiable ownership
Yes.
of that digital creation.
Yeah.
You can then sell that NFT
Yeah.
directly to your fans. Bypassing traditional record labels and intermediaries, you set the price. You control the distribution, and you keep a larger share of the profits.
So cutting out the middleman
Yeah.
and empowering creators to connect directly with their audience.
Exactly.
What about the concept of the take rate? You mentioned that earlier, and I'm still not entirely clear on what that means.
The take rate is essentially the percentage that platforms take from transactions. For example, if you sell something on eBay, eBay takes a cut of the sale in the traditional Web 2 world. These take rates can be quite high, which means that creators and users are losing out on potential revenue, but with WEB3. And decentralized platforms, the take rate can be significantly reduced or even eliminated entirely.
So it's about creating a more equitable system where the value flows directly to the creators and users.
It's fascinating to think about how WEB3 and blockchain technology could reshape the way we interact with brands and consume content in the metaverse.
Yeah.
But let's not forget about the potential downsides. Are there any risks or concerns associated with this shift towards decentralization?
Of course. One of the biggest challenges is scalability.
Okay.
Blockchain technology is still relatively new, and it's not yet clear whether it can handle, like on the massive volume of transactions, that would be required. If the metaverse truly becomes the primary way we interact online, there are also security concerns. While blockchain itself is very secure, the applications built on top of it aren't always as robust.
There's still kinks to be worked out.
Right.
But the potential is there. It's a bit like the early days of the internet, when everything was new and exciting, but also a bit chaotic and uncertain.
That's a great analogy. We're in the Wild West stage of the metaverse, where the rules are still being written and the possibilities are endless. It's an exciting time to be a part of this evolution, but it's also important to be aware of the potential risks and to approach this new world with a healthy dose of skepticism and critical thinking.
All right. So we've talked about the promises and perils of the metaverse, the 4 pillars of implementation and the potential for WEB3 and blockchain technology to revolutionize everything. But I'm curious, what does this all mean for the average person? How is the metaverse going to impact our daily lives in tangible ways?
For one thing, it's going to change the way we shop.
Okay.
Imagine being able to try on clothes virtually, see how furniture looks in your home before you buy it, or even test drive a car without leaving your living room. The metaverse has the potential to make online shopping more immersive and engaging, blurring the lines between the physical and digital worlds.
That sounds pretty convenient. But what about the social aspect? How's the metaverse going to change the way we connect with each other?
Well, imagine attending a concert with friends from all over the world, participating in a virtual conference where you can network with people you'd never meet otherwise, or even just hanging out with friends in a virtual park, playing games and catching up. The metaverse has the potential to break down geographical barriers and create new opportunities for social interaction.
It's like taking the best aspects of social media and online gaming and combining them into a single immersive experience.
Exactly.
It's not just about entertainment and socializing.
Right.
The metaverse also has implications for education, healthcare, and even how we work. Imagine students attending virtual field trips to ancient Rome, doctors performing surgery remotely using virtual reality, or architects collaborating on building designs in real time from different parts of the world.
Yeah. The possibilities are truly limitless.
It sounds like the metaverse has the potential to revolutionize almost every aspect of our lives.
It does.
But I'm curious, what are your thoughts on the potential for the metaverse to become an escape from reality? Could people become so immersed in these virtual worlds that they neglect their real life responsibilities and relationships?
It's definitely something to be mindful of. Like any technology, the metaverse can be used in healthy or unhealthy ways. It's important to strike a balance to make sure that we're using these virtual worlds to enhance our lives, not to escape from them.
So it's about using the metaverse as a tool to connect with people, learn new things, and experience new things, but not letting it become a substitute for real-life interactions
Yeah,
and experiences.
exactly. It's about finding the right balance and using technology in a way that serves us rather than
Yeah.
the other way around.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about the potential benefits and risks of the metaverse, the 4 pillars of implementation, and the potential
correct.
for WB3 and blockchain technology to disrupt everything. But before we wrap up, I want to bring it back to our listener.
Okay.
Why should they care
Okay.
about all this? What's the takeaway message here?
Well, the takeaway message is that the metaverse is coming. Whether we like it or not, it's already starting to shape the way we live, work, and interact with the world. And it has the potential to be incredibly transformative, both for better and for worse. The key is to be informed, to be engaged in the conversation, and to make sure that we're shaping this new world in a way that aligns with our values and priorities.
I love that. It's about taking ownership of our digital future and ensuring that the metaverse serves humanity, not the other way around.
Exactly.
And on that note, I think it's time for us to take a short break.
Okay.
We'll be right back to wrap up this deep dive and leave you with some final thoughts to ponder. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. We've covered a lot of ground, from the potential of virtual showrooms to the mind-blowing implications of WEB3 and the take rate. But before we wrap up this deep dive on the metaverse's impact on sales, I want to leave you with something to really chew on.
Okay, I'm all ears. What's got you pondering?
Well, it's this. If the metaverse really becomes our main way of interacting with brands, how will that change our relationship with buying stuff in general? Like, will we even want physical things as much?
That's a fascinating question. If we're spending more and more time in these virtual worlds decked out with, digital clothes, driving virtual cars, maybe the allure of physical possessions does start to fade a little bit.
Right.
We might become more interested in acquiring and showing off digital assets, rare NFTs, virtual land in the best metaverse locations, things like that.
Right. It's almost like a new era of conspicuous consumption, but instead of fancy cars and designer handbags, it's all about virtual status symbols.
Exactly. Makes you wonder how the metaverse could reshape our values and priorities. Will we see a shift from material possessions to experiences, or will we just see new forms of digital materialism emerge?
And what about the environmental impact? Building and powering these massive virtual worlds takes a ton of energy. Could the metaverse actually make our climate crisis worse, or could it lead to more sustainable consumption patterns?
Those are huge questions, and honestly, we don't have all the answers yet. It's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, the metaverse could reduce our reliance on physical goods, which could have positive environmental consequences.
Right.
But on the other hand, the energy consumption required to power these virtual worlds is a significant concern.
It's a classic case of unintended consequences. We create these amazing new technologies, but we don't always fully understand their long-term impact.
Right. And it highlights the need for responsible innovation. We need to be thinking about these issues now while the metaverse is still in its early stages of development to ensure that we're creating a sustainable and equitable digital future.
So as we wrap up, what's the key takeaway for our listener? What should they be thinking about as they navigate this brave new world?
The key takeaway is that the metaverse is not just a technological shift, it's a societal one. It has the potential to reshape our relationships with brands, with each other, even with ourselves. It's a world full of possibilities, but also potential pitfalls. And it's up to all of us to be informed, engaged, and to help shape its evolution in a way that benefits humanity as a whole.
Well said. It's a call to action, really. We can't just sit back and let the metaverse happen to us. We need to be active participants in shaping its future.
I completely agree. This isn't just about the latest gadgets or tech trends. It's about the future of our society, our economy, and our planet.
Wow, this deep dive has really given me a lot to think about. A huge thank you to you for guiding us through this complex topic.
It was my pleasure. I always enjoy these deep dives. It's fascinating to explore these emerging trends and consider their potential impact on our world.
And to our listener, we hope this has sparked your curiosity about the metaverse. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and most importantly, keep thinking critically about the future we're creating. Thanks for joining us.